Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of Mental Spelunking. In this episode, we talk about what it's like to have a mask that you wear in society and what it's like to potentially take that thing off. We explore what it's like to have a higher power and how you let go. We then go through how you gain proprioception in your body using those signals to figure out if they're a physical, mental, or spiritual issue. And we talk about the pitfalls of doing this all the time. Finally, we talk about, balancing spirituality in everyday life, dysfunctional relationships, and just the self-reflection journey and how repair is so important. Anyways, we really look forward to you guys listening, so let's get into it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of Mental Spelunking. We've actually been doing this for like 6 months.
Yeah,
It's pretty amazing.
it
It's half a
is.
year. We've survived half a year. We even have listeners that have like downloaded every single. I know of one
Oh,
person who's listened to every single episode, which is so
it
nice.
is so nice.
It's so nice. So, what I want to start with, I just want to ask Allison how you're doing. I see that you're in a new place,
I
and I don't
appreciate
know
how
if,
neutrally you're trying to say that.
yeah, you're in a new place. There's like industrial sized crickets there because I can hear them. And for all you listeners, I most likely will just edit them all out. So, or maybe I won't. I don't know. It depends on how raw I want to make this episode. But I just wanted to see how you're doing. Oh. uh. so, so how are you doing?
Um,
How's how's place number 4 in the span of 4 months?
uh, yeah, actually, in the span of 2 months, um, it's
Yeah.
it's good. I'm really good. It's I've been reflecting on how this is very not profound and also not something I really had ever experienced before, just how mentally taxing it is to be so destabilized and in flux all the time. Like when I finally got here, I had the last maybe 4 weeks, I had moved out of the old place. I was sleeping on the floor there because my furniture was gone, but I still had the place. Then I stayed with friends for a couple weeks. Um, and then I moved in here. And just that process of being shuffled from one place to another and not really being certain of where I was going or what was happening or anything was so draining that when I finally got here, I just felt this huge, like release. And and now I feel fantastic. And I hadn't realized just how much I was carrying through all of that. Yeah, so I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good too. I hurt my neck 2 weeks ago.
Mm.
Um and it was one of those things where I just woke up and was like, wow, this doesn't feel good. I can't move my neck anyway. Can't move it this way, can't move it that way. And I'd felt something kind of brewing. And um it's nice to have kind of worked through all of that. I was at my brother's bachelor party in British Columbia. We're at this kind of like fishing lodge thing, which was really fun. It was nice. I was kind of the sixth wheel because I kind of knew his friends. I'd met them before, spent some time together, but they're his friends. They're not my friends, but they all embraced me like one of them, which was really nice. And we went with my mom's boyfriend Jeff, which was awesome too. He was great. He planned the whole thing, and it was awesome. And so yeah, like things are good. My brother's getting married next week
Oh, wow.
in France. So so it'll be cool. We're going to
Mm.
Cassis, France, which is just it's on the Mediterranean, and um it's like right next to Marseille. So I'm there for from Wednesday of next week until Monday, the 22nd, and then I fly to um, London, and I go and I get to see my co-author, Jessica, and we get to
Yay.
work together, which is going to be fun. And then I'm back. So, and then I'm not going anywhere for a bit. So, which is exciting. It's going to be nice to, we kind of got this whirlwind travel for the next month, and then I get to kind of be a homebody again. Um, so yeah, I think that I'm pretty happy about. So, if there's one thing that I notice about our podcast is that we definitely go on a lot of tangents, and then there's times where like we just kind of drop stuff and we just move forward, and I don't really remember to ask you a question again, or maybe you forget or whatever it is too. So I've been, rewatching some of our episodes and being like, maybe I should like go back and, you know, see if we should kind of like tie a loop off on a couple
Hmm.
questions. And so I think one of them, so we had talked about wearing your mask, and we talked about who you are when you don't wear your mask. And I feel like we could unpack that more, because I think that the cool thing about the spiritual path, at least for me, is that the more you work on yourself, the more you kind of get rid of these masks, right? So it's like you slowly but surely can get rid of it to the point where you are not really wearing your mask all that much. Maybe you got to wear it in this situation or that situation, but for the most part, you can kind of live without your mask. And I just was wondering if you could unpack that for us, and what you are like, what you're like without your mask off. I think kind of you and I just laughing there at the
Yeah.
start's probably a pretty good purview into it. But and just how you kind of worked on um, removing those masks, and being more and more authentic in who you are kind of in every situation you're in.
Hmm. So by way of explanation, the the mask metaphor, I think it's commonly used. So not to be like talking down, but just to make sure we're all on the same page. It's this idea that we put on something to make ourselves more palatable for other people. So you could think of it as a mask, or sometimes I use the analogy of coats of paint. Like we'll paint ourselves one color for somebody, and then we'll paint ourselves another color with polka dots for somebody else. And we even do an exercise with kids and with adults where we actually give people masks and ask them to put on the outside who they feel like they have to become for other people, and then on the inside to represent who they really are. So that's the idea behind it, is that we're like chameleons. We learn as kids what people want from us and how to adapt to that. And that's not good or bad. It just is a way of being. And then we get to choose at some point if that's how we want to keep showing up in the world or not. And maybe the sort of reason to think about this is that sometimes we become so used to wearing a mask that we conflate the mask for ourselves, and we just lose sight of who we really are. So that's the reason to examine this and to look at it. So if that exercise of actually just painting a mask feels interesting, I would really encourage you to try it, because I find it to be really, really powerful to sit down and actually visually represent what you end up becoming for somebody else. The process, I mean, I can't say that I don't ever wear them. I feel like there's lots of parts of
Well,
myself that I'm like blind to. So I'm sure I still have it to some extent, you know?
for sure. Well, I think you kind of have to like. There are times in which it's like useful.
Hmm.
There's times in which you're like, okay, hey, like, I'm going into this situation. Um, I could wear sweatpants, but that might be to my detriment. So I'll put on real clothes instead.
Fancy clothes. Yeah, sometimes I'll do that. Like I'm smiling, and then before I go into something kind of like serious face, I'm not even good at making a serious face. But I do try.
I just would like picture you like in some like Marvel movie, and just like it's like this is who I really am.
Take me seriously.
Exactly.
I used to, when I was a kid, I used to put on like a very serious face, and everybody I knew would just start laughing at me. And it would make me so frustrated. I'd be like, but I'm being very serious. And they're like, but nothing about this feels serious. You're not able to like be angry enough for us to take it seriously. Um, yeah, so the process was, it still is, examining my behavior and then asking myself, is it true? And is it true, meaning is it true to me? And sometimes when I feel like I'm not really clear on the answer to that, I'll look back to when I was a kid because kids are so much more authentic in their expression and ask myself, well, how did I behave when I was 3 in a situation like this? What was, not, obviously accepting the like temper tantrums and all that sort of thing, but just in general, how did I show up in the world? And if I look back at footage of myself from when I was really young, like videos and whatnot, I'm very out in front, which is why I have to say I feel like I still to some extent wear masks because 3 or 5, 6, 7-year-old me is like the most center of attention person in any situation. Like I'm the loudest, I'm making the most like noise, I am like all over the place in every family video, in every school video, and I'm not trying to be, it's just like what I am. I'm just taking up loads of space. And I don't do that as much anymore.
That's fair. Like I had a situation that even happened to me the other day where I actually felt like I dropped my mask um, on a board call I was on,
Mm.
and I had like essentially started to poke holes in this guy's strategy, and I could see him and this other guy being like getting frustrated. And so what I did was try to like say, "Hey, okay, like I'm just being contrarian here. Like that's usually what I do.
Mm.
I'm usually the opposite, but like in reality, I don't like I still to this day don't like it when people feel uncomfortable with
Mm.
how when I do something because
Mhm.
I'm similar to you, Allison. I was in everybody's face. I was the center. I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I was very loud, etc. But and I used to struggle with that even when I was playing golf. Like I'd be playing golf competitively, trying to make sure that everybody else was comfortable. It's like I'm trying to beat these people. Like I have to beat them in golf. Doesn't mean that I have to like be mean to them off the golf
Mhm.
course. I can be nice to them off the golf course, but like on the golf course, I need to be in my own world. I don't need to be worried about them.
Mhm.
So, in this regard, it was interesting because after I was like, that wasn't true
Yeah.
for me. It was like what I said was I believe to be the truth. I don't need to have make sure that other people feel comfortable because of what I said.
Yeah.
If I had yelled at somebody and I was like ridiculous on some call, then yeah, sure. I have every right to be like, okay, hey, I messed up or whatever it is. But if I point something out and someone else feels uncomfortable, that's their problem, not mine.
Yeah.
And, but, I noticed it and I said, that's not true. And I'm not going to do that again. Or I'm going to work very hard to, when I drop my mask, not try to put on another mask that I've put aside for a long
Yes.
time.
Yeah, exactly. I think you bring up a really good point about making people feel comfortable. Hence the question, who do we become for other people? Because it's always twisting around, really distilled down to making people feel comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that there's a part of me being on that call. I'm the youngest person on that call.
Mm.
Like everybody else is older than me. I'm on the board though. Doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, right, there's this part of you where you're like, okay, well, like these guys are, there's all these colloquial things that you remember
Mhm.
that your parents taught you. It's like, hey, you need to respect older people. That's true. Um, but we're all equals on this. We're all equals on the call. It wasn't as if there was a hierarchy on the call. We
Mhm.
were all equals. And so for me, um, there was a lot of stuff that came up, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't need. And it wasn't like a self-examination of myself where it's like you're like berating yourself.
Yeah.
It's more like, okay, like why'd you do that? Then you examine it.
Mhm.
Okay, that's why I did it. Okay, well, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. And you move forward.
Mhm.
And then you you actually are excited for the next time the universe puts you in that situation
Mhm.
because you're like, I want to not do that.
Yeah.
I want to speak my truth, and I want to, not my truth, I want to speak the truth. I want to see, look at the situation how it is, and then um and do my thing.
Mhm.
But I think you're right. I think that you and I talked about this kind of offline once about people and conversations, right? Because with these masks, um, they show up quite like unexpected, very much uninvited. And if you aren't fully aware, you'll realize, 2, 3, 4 minutes later, you're like, oh shit, I'm actually wearing a mask again.
Yeah.
Um, and I think when you think about like conversation, like my wife and I talked about this, but what we talked about, the thing that you and I talked about was how much of human conversation is like talking about other people.
Mhm.
Like if you were to remove talking about other people, how much human conversation would we have? And then secondly, I think what you said to me too is you're like, it's almost a way that people like connect.
Mhm.
It's like, oh my God, can you believe that Jeff is over by the water cooler again? And you're like, yeah, I can't believe that. And you're like, oh, okay, like let's go get coffee. We're friends now
Yeah.
because we like talked about Jeff. Uh, and I think what you said is you're like, told me this. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what you said was whenever people do that, it's like, is this necessary to build connection? Which is an interesting thing that I thought of because it's like, you think about it, right? There's a lot of that time where you're like, okay, I guess this is kind of how people like build camaraderie with one another and they
Mm.
kind of talk about people and whatnot. But then you kind of step back and you're like, is that really necessary? It's not necessary, really, to talk about it at all. The only reason I bring it up is because my wife and I went on a walk today with our
Mm.
dog, and we like stopped because we talked about this exact thing that you and I are talking about right
Mm.
now. And she was like, "Well, we talked about 5 strangers, like not strangers, but 5 different people
Mm.
today, and that was like a 35-minute walk. So, if you do the math, it's like, we talked about each person for 7 minutes and then you move, but that's the funny thing. But then you juxtapose that with silence. Well, I think silence is actually even more disturbing to people.
Mm.
Like sitting in silence with people is funny. Like, look, my dad listens to all this, so I will, I'll preface this, Dad. I'm gonna call you out here. It's okay. Don't be upset. But what I went hiking with him a while back, and we're driving, and you have to understand, like we're in Alberta, we're driving through Banff. It's really beautiful. There's all these mountains, and I mean, like, I swear to God, every 5 minutes, my dad's like, "Can you believe how pretty it is?" It's like, that's nice. Once you do it 10 times, it's like, "Hey, man, let's just not talk for 20 minutes. That's okay." No, that's okay. Like that's what he wants to do. I'm just saying that silence can be very deafening, can be very not deafening, but very like discomforting
Mhm.
to people.
Mhm. Yeah, there's this need to fill the space, not just auditorily, you kind of see it all around. Anytime there's an empty space, our tendency is to fill it with stuff in a house, in nature, sound, all of it. Yeah, it makes us very uncomfortable to just sit
Like what
there.
drives, sorry about that.
Mm.
You keep going.
No, go ahead. What are you say?
What drives me nuts is you walk into any restaurant and there is just music playing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you tell them to turn it down, they're like, you would want us to turn down the music? It's like, yeah, I want to have a conversation with the person that's across from me. I can't hear them because it's so loud. And people look at you funny
Mm.
because that's just like a subconscious, unconscious, just like thing that is accepted.
Yeah.
There must be ambient noise everywhere. We cannot, like even in the elevator, like the whole elevator music thing,
Yeah.
right? It's like, God forbid. Now, instead of having elevator music, they just have a little screen that tells you the weather. It's just like, oh my God, it might be, it's going to be 85 degrees tomorrow. And you're just like staring at the screen.
Yeah, we don't get it. It's like an assault of the senses everywhere you go. Yeah.
There's a great, God, okay, there's a great movie called Ready Player One. It's based on a book. And there's this scene where Ben Mendelsohn, and Ben Mendelsohn's the antagonist. He runs this company called IOI, I think. And like they're just these people who, anyways, really quickly, like the movie is about this game called The Oasis. It's created by Gregarious Games, and the guy that dies, the guy that founded the company, he's like the wealthiest person in the world. He dies, and he creates this challenge. Then whoever wins the challenge actually gets his stake in Gregarious Games, which is worth like some insane, like $800 billion or something crazy like that. And there's this guy played by Ben Mendelsohn who is part of IOI, which is like their sole goal is to win the challenge. They pay people to play the game, and then what they do is they sell all this merchandise, and then they give people credit, and then if you can't pay it back, then they like turn you into a slave where they like make you play this game to pay off your debt. It's kind of fucked up. But anyways, there's this scene where Ben Mendelsohn is like talking to the board, and he's like, we figured out like how much of the screen can be filled with ads without somebody having a seizure. And it like shows, and there's like all these ads like all over the screen. And when we were talking about that, it made me think, because that's just kind of what life is. It's just like there's shit everywhere.
Yes.
There's just an ad here and like an ad there, and like some dude like dancing like this with an ad on his shirt. Like everywhere you go, there's an ad. Everywhere you go, there is just shit. There's music. There's just stuff.
Yeah.
You're just bombarded.
Yes. And bringing it back to the mask and the conditioning, that's what makes it so difficult to actually undo all of that, because all around you, you're being conditioned, whether you're aware of it or not.
It's more nefarious than that. It's like they want to subconsciously and unconsciously affect you so that you then kind of do what they want, which is buy more shit. But anyways, we don't need to talk about that today. Okay. The other question that I had for you was, we talked about the idea of a higher power and being able to turn over stuff to the higher power. And I'll give you an example. So like after that board call I had a lot of golden retriever chasing its tail in my head, just like thinking about it, like, oh, like we could, we should do this, we should do that, da 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 da. And I just went to my higher power. I was like, hey, a lot of this is out of my control. Can you take it? He's like, sure. He's like, I'm dealing with it. I'm like, great. And then when the dog would come back, I'd be like, you still dealing with it? He's like, oh, I am dealing with it. You don't have to worry about it. I'm like, okay, great. And so you had said at the end of the podcast that you were going to test it out. And I just was wondering like how it went.
Oh, that's a good question.
One of our podcasts.
In all honesty, I did not. That podcast, yeah, the last couple of months are really challenging, which is why we both were laughing so much at the beginning. I feel like without context, it probably just sounded insane.
No, it's great. It's so wonderful. Why don't you know what? You know what would actually be really good for our listeners
Hmm.
is to unpack your last 2 months so
Nobody
that they
needs
can
that.
at least get some, so they can get some context to why we were laughing. Because it's, I actually think people would empathize with your situation.
Maybe I'll
Because
just
we,
make it simple because it's been a lot. Um, yeah, so I liked that idea because so much was happening around. So let's see. 2 months ago, um, a little over 2 months ago, I left for right before I left to go to a conference in Spain, the one in Barcelona about consciousness.
yeah,
We had gotten a contract to work. So, in case people don't remember, I do a lot of work with kids, and we hadn't had any funding to do that work over the summer. So I thought I was going to have the summer kind of relax so I could pack and move and not have it all be chaotic. But very quickly, within a week, we had funding from a bunch of sources to help support a program over the summer. So then suddenly I was thrown into working all summer, which was great because I love our program and the kids. It just wasn't what I was anticipating. And then on top of that, like layered on top of that, was a lot of personal challenges with the, yeah, interpersonal and colleague challenges and just a lot. It was just a lot. And at one point, I wasn't sure if I was just going to be doing this work with kids on my own and just kind of not have any support at all. So it just felt like I was on this like, so when you said give it up to a higher power, I thought, oh gosh, that sounds so great. I should definitely do that. Um, and then I promptly forgot it so that my mind, it's funny, I don't even think my mind was spinning so much as it was just like done. It was just like, I don't think I was thinking about anything. I think I was just like catatonic almost like sleepwalking through my life. Uh,
oh, that's a yeah, that's fair.
yeah. Um, so I appreciate you reminding me of that. I would like to try that now. I need something for my mind to be spinning over. I gotta find something. I don't tend to do that. I either kind of just it passes through, or I guess I kind of, yeah, sleepwalk through my existence.
But I think the sleepwalking through your existence isn't a unique thing. I think that that's something that like I've experienced.
Yeah.
Um, I remember I was at a job once, and it was an awesome job that I was working at, and my boss came to me and was like, "Hey, uh, I either need you to like commit or quit. Like, I don't care which one it is. It's just you kind of aren't really here right now."
Mm.
And it was such a nice kick in the stomach because it was like he noticed.
Hmm.
Not only did he notice, he had the like sincerity to tell me and like help me reset.
Hmm.
And it was great because it was like, yeah, 100%. I want to be here. He just was like, I need you rowing this way. So you're not even rowing.
Yeah, that's a
You're
real
actually
gift.
on. No, that's a great gift. It
Yeah.
was such a great gift because some people might just be like, get rid of that guy, and like they won't even tell you why,
Hmm.
or or whatnot. I think it's way better when you are sincere and you're honest with someone and you say, hey, like, and it's great because I always find that when like you yell at someone or get angry or whatever it is, like part of a good chunk of that is about you, not
Hmm.
them. But when you show up into somebody, like I'm sure you see this with the kids, right? Like if you show up to a kid and you are very calm and very sincere and you're like, I don't really like this behavior, it's amazing how quickly the kid's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop doing that now.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I think it happens to a lot of people. I actually think there's lots of people who just sleepwalk through life their whole life, and then they
Mm.
die, and then I'm sure they go back to the place that that we all came from, and the guy's like, you probably got to do that again. I don't really want you sleepwalking for 55 fucking years, so like, you need to go back. And the spirit's like, no, not going back to the place where there's the freaking veil of forgetting. I don't want to go back to the veil of forgetting. I have to find out that I have to be spiritual in a place that I forget that I was a spiritual being to begin with. No, no, please, no. You got to go back. I'm sorry.
I like that story.
But no, I think that that's the and so when you're sleepwalking
Mm.
now, is that because you feel like you're like on the verge of having something kind of come through that you need to work on, or is it just like you're like, I'm just run ragged because I'm working so hard and I have no idea like what day it is or what time it is. All I know is my alarm goes off, I get up, I do my thing, I come home and go to bed. Like,
No, but that is a version of it. That wasn't what I was experiencing. It was so much emotional turmoil that
mm,
I couldn't, that it was almost like, yeah, when you're overwhelmed with grief. That's the best way to describe it. Like when somebody passes away and you just don't know
yeah,
which way to turn and you're just like, I guess I could do the dishes now, but you're not even sure why you're doing them, and then you
yeah.
go drive in your car to the grocery store, but it doesn't make sense why that matters. It's like that.
It's almost like in our last podcast where you like had no energy
Yeah.
and you were like, I have to pack all my shit. It has to leave tomorrow.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Exactly.
at my apartment being like, how is this going to get done?
Yep.
And by the way, I've been crying
Yes.
every day for the
Exactly.
last like however many
Yeah.
days.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was
that's
that.
fair.
It was just a lot of that. So I don't remember when you said the higher power thing. It might have been before the last podcast, but this has been going on for a little while. So, but it's better. It's all completely gone now, as far as I can tell.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
And it's because I mean, I don't know, this is the story I'm telling myself. I don't know if it's true, but it feels like it's because I took the time to actually just grieve. I was just
Yeah.
really sad and I cried a whole lot. And then when it was over, it was just over. There was nothing else to do about it.
Yeah. Well, I think that um, this is going to lead into something that I think's interesting. So we'll talk about my neck. And I think that one of the interesting things that I find is like pain and where we store it, and how I find that it kind of goes back to like the quantifiable thing we talked about a long
Mm,
time ago, like where we're so obsessed with quantifiable metrics. It's kind of the same thing with our bodies. Um, we're so obsessed to quantify how to fix ABC. So you say, okay, my like right knee hurts. So, you kind of got like door A, which is I'm going to take some like ibuprofen or some acetaminophen or something like that, like Tylenol or Advil.
hmm
And that kind of like gets rid of the pain. Um, I'm going to like put a knee brace on and like not, like put like an apparatus around it to kind of like stabilize it. Or I'm going to like go and get like a cortisone injection, or I'm going to go to physio, or I'm going to go to whatever, right? There's lots of things you can choose to do. Now, look, I want to be very clear here. Not everything is as a spiritual thing. Okay. Just, if you kick a pole with your leg, there's no spiritual thing there. It's just you kick the pole with your leg and it hurts. And you get a bruise and you move forward and it goes away. What I'm talking about is where I'm talking more about like your back, like around your spine, your neck, like things that where there is an actual spiritual highway, where your chakras are, those kind of things. Um, And with my neck, which was really interesting, the interesting thing about it was there's a lot of stuff going on in my life. There's a lot of things that, like, I don't really want to get into it on the podcast, but there were things that I had to talk about with people and whatnot, and I hadn't done it yet, and it was kind of building and building and building. But there's also another thing that's been building in my life, which is, obviously I've talked about Al-Anon before. I'm in Al-Anon, and I'm on step 4, which is made a searching and fearless moral inventory, which brings up a lot, right? And so when you bring up a lot, right, there's a lot of stuff being released into your body, and you can have a lot of things. Your muscles hold stuff. They do more than just they're more than just going to pump weights and run. Like, there's a lot of things that they do, and there's things that we have no idea what they do. And what I find is that the more spiritual work I've done, the more physical rehabilitation I've done, the deeper the layers come back. I've essentially been experiencing for the last 2 years all the injuries I've had over my life. And now I'm back to my teenage years, where I feel stuff right here, which is what I felt all throughout my teenage years. And I was telling my physio guy that, and he's like, "This is great. We're peeling the onion." I'm like, "Yeah, great for you. Sucks for me. It's painful." And I kind of been feeling this similar to you, where I've been having this energy coursing through myself, and like it makes you feel a little odd.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this build up to me doing my step 4, sitting down and doing it. And because, doing a searching and fearless moral inventory of yourself, that is not, rainbows and unicorns. That is like going through your whole life and writing it all down.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's very cathartic and very, very, very helpful. But I think for people are like, "Oh, like my back hurts." It's like, well, if your back always hurts and it hurts after you cheat on your wife, maybe there's a little bit more than a physical problem.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there's something bigger. A great example of this is Truman, Harry Truman. When after he dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, he felt great. He was like, "Yeah, they did it." And then he started having these like searing headaches, like really bad, like jabbing you in the eye headaches. And then he got to see what happened and was like, "Oh shit. Like, this is not what we thought it was going to be. We thought it was all military targets. It wasn't military targets. It was all mostly civilian targets." And like, in today's age, you might just be like, "I should just take some Tylenol." Back then they were like, "Oh no," like it made some sense. So anyways, I just thought I'd share that.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
It's in a Netflix documentary, so I'm taking it I'm taking it for what it is. But that's what they said, so I'm going to go with it. But I think that's the thing, right? Like, where we're so much more than just like the pain is so much, it can be so much more than what it is. It could be, but it's always, this is what it goes back to what you said about the exploration, right? Explore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're yelling at someone and you start to feel something jab you in the back, it's like, well, hey, why is that? Or you wake up the next day and you don't feel that good, or whatever it is, right? Like it's something that you can explore.
Yeah.
And the way I explore it, and I'd love to know how you explore it, Allison, the way I explore it is you kind of get into like a pretty, you get into like a pretty meditative state. You do some meditation. And then what you do is you isolate that pain. So you kind of scan your body. You kind of feel where you really get a good sense of that. And you kind of say, hey, are there any emotions trapped in here?
Mm-hmm.
You just ask the question and you be open to what you hear. And then you keep doing that. You keep probing until you don't get anything more. And then you can just, you can connect to your heart center. You just feel your heart center and you say, hey, I'd like to send love to those aspects of myself. And see what happens. It helps me, but I'd love to know kind of what you do, Allison, outside of crying for 15 hours straight.
Well, sometimes crying's what you need. you know? I
I
think,
don't disagree.
yeah. uh, so my approach is really different. I just recently learned of the trapped emotions. I think that's part of the emotion code work, which I'm only sort of familiar with in passing. I have a sense of so maybe I should back up. My feeling is that our mental state creates our body state. So my feeling is that whatever's happening in my mind, whether I'm aware of it or not, is affecting and influencing my body. There's also a feeling that the body can be seen as a map and that different parts of the body kind of signify or can point you in a certain direction. So I'll look to see where there's pain or bruise. Like I scan internally and externally every day to see what's going on. I was gonna see, I think there was, oh, it's not really visible anymore. Uh, oh yeah, here. Well, this feels weird because I'm about to give you all the middle finger, but I think you can see here on my finger, there's this little bruise. You see that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so this happened um, on my middle finger, and I have an understanding. And again, this is my relationship with my body. I'm not trying to say this is a necessarily a universal thing, although some parts of it maybe are more common, let's say, than others. But so this finger in certain traditions represents responsibility. So when I see something on this finger, I think, oh, I have an issue with responsibility. Either I've overcommitted to something, I'm feeling overly responsible for something. So then I look and I say, well, what is actually happening to this finger? And there's a really interesting bruise. It's kind of, again, it's hard to see, but it's like little lines, which is so, in some ways, it's so cool. I've never had a bruise like that on my finger before. It's like, what? And this happened when I was actually in Canada on like taking a trip and camping. So this happened a few weeks ago. So in between all of the moving, I thought, it'd be really great is if I just went somewhere else on top of everything else. I just slept in my car. So I did that. And I had been thinking a lot about this issue and in the process of being in my head about this issue, not necessarily spinning, but thinking about it, I smacked this finger up against the car, and that's where I got this bruise. So it's very easy then in this case to equate it and go, okay, so this is sort of for me a symbol about I'm taking responsibility for things that maybe are not my responsibility to hold anymore. And it's a very clear message. So um, that's how I think of it. So like when there's pain or something like that, I'll look to see, well, where is it in my body? What's the either traditional meaning of it or my own experience of what it might mean? And then how do I resolve that behavior or that mental state that might then be causing or related to that pain or that issue? And with that comes the emotions. So there's the behavior and the emotions, and they're tied together. And the reason I like this approach or that I found it beneficial is because identifying, at least for me, the behavior allows me the opportunity to not repeat it. So once I saw, oh, I'm taking responsibility for something that actually isn't mine to be responsible for, it was very easy to let that fall away. Just go, oh, not mine. Okay. Thank you for that. And now I just have to wait
No,
for it
I
to heal.
no, I think that's great because I think for me, with my next step, which was really interesting, was so like, and you and I have talked about this, where it's like the right part of your body is the masculine part, the left part of your body is the feminine part. Did I get that right? I think I got that right. Is that right? Let's just go with that. Let's go with that.
Okay.
But anyway, so my point being, so on my right side, when I told the people that I needed to tell who were men, it then shifted over to my left side, and then I had to go. And then once I told the couple women that I needed to tell, then it kind of went back into the center. It wasn't just on one. It wasn't one sided anymore, which I thought was very
Mm-hmm.
interesting. And usually, when you're in your neck, at least this is how I think about it. You've got your fifth chakra there, which is about speech and saying stuff. And essentially, once I told everybody, um, then the neck pain kind of went away. Then it came back later because I had some other stuff I had to work on. But the point being is that you can kind of test, right? Like how I do it is I have a guy that I see that works on my body, and if he works on my body he works on my body relatively regularly. But if I see him and he keeps working on the same thing over and over again for, couple sessions, I'm like, okay, there's got to be something more because it should like he's good at his job. Um, it should release. It's
Mm-hmm.
not releasing. Okay, so maybe there's something else I should look at. And I think that's the point that I think Allison and I are trying to do here, which is, uh, it's very easy just to go take Tylenol. You'll feel better. You won't feel the pain, but maybe there's something that the universe or whoever is trying to kind of get a hold of you to be like, hey, like, why don't you look at this or why don't you look at that?
Yeah.
Um, and hopefully this can help you because it's helped me immensely. You know, you can go insane doing it. So like,
Yeah.
don't spend your whole, like, don't make the same mistake that Allison and I probably made, which is like, you're constantly scanning and you're constantly like, oh, like, don't worry about that. Okay. It's more of just kind of like Allison does it daily. I kind of check in when I have something that won't go away.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like, if my right trap in my neck feels tight, I'll kind of wait a few days. And then if it's still there and I've had someone work on it and it's still there, then it's like, okay, hey, like maybe it's something I need to unpack. But it's not like, oh my God, I feel something in my foot.
Yeah.
Let's scan. It's like, oh my God, I feel something in my head now. I got to scan. Oh my God, I've got like my low back's feeling bad, weird. It's just like, now this is like, you're now kind of doing this to yourself. Um, but
This is
but
true.
these yes, but these are things that, these are little modalities that you can kind of integrate into your own life and hopefully help you unpack your own issues because, like, it's always good to have a mirror, but we're also really powerful beings that can transcend stuff, right? And I always say, like, writing stuff down is so important. So, if you keep, it's also not a bad idea to kind of keep track and, write, it's like, oh, hey, like, my right trap hurts. I did this, I did that. Don't be surprised if then situations kind of show up in your life when you start releasing this stuff to then, start to integrate that practice that you saw. Okay, this is about your dad, and it's about your relationship with him in a way of you standing up for yourself. Don't be surprised that when you send love to that you get put into these situations again where you got to stand up for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, um, because the universe is like, hey, did you learn? Did you find a way to do it? Um, it's yeah. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's it's a positive thing to kind of be able to do.
Yeah. I wanted to add there's also yes to what you said about not being kind of overly attuned to it. And you might start to notice that there are feelings that are very much or sensations, let's say that guide you. So there might be a sensation that when you feel it is very much no, or a sensation that is very much yes. And so if you start to notice how what you're saying and what you're doing is affecting your body state, you might start to notice patterns of, oh, when I speak like this, I'm always getting a feeling of, a twinge here. Or, for example, like when I think of something or when I do something that isn't in alignment or isn't the thing I'm meant to be doing, I have a serious pain in my left ear, like excruciating pain in my left ear. And it goes away immediately when I stop thinking or doing or whatever the thing is that caused it. It's wonderful. But if I was always like, oh, there's that ear thing again, I probably would not think I wouldn't notice and I wouldn't stop doing the behavior. So I just bring that up to say sometimes there are
Yeah, no,
body signals that are helpful.
I think this is the point, right? The big point is regaining the proprioception of your body and
Mm-hmm.
then regaining those like uh, higher attributes that you can have where you can actually start to feel like when you're a kid, right? Like you'll walk past someone, you'll feel gross and you'll be like, oh my God, like, and you tell your parents like, oh,
Yeah.
don't worry about that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, like you should worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's these deep innate kind of feelings that we can have where you'll know if you're doing something wrong. It's just we do a really good job of cutting ourselves off from those
Mm-hmm.
aspects. No different than what Allison talked about on the first and second episode, talking about her dad and talking about how she what she had when she was a kid, and then being like, I don't want that anymore, right? Like, it's not. It doesn't have to be like that. It could be a simple thing of like, there's all these sayings like trust your gut. It's like, yeah, but if you have no connection to yourself anymore, it's pretty hard to trust your gut.
Yeah.
Like for me, I know like when I'm doing something right or wrong because I get a feeling in my stomach. It's like I get like this kind of twinge in my stomach. If I feel like I'm doing something untrue to myself or untrue that like isn't gonna happen, or things that or things that are outlandish, it's like I feel like, and especially when I'm writing. When I'm
Mm-hmm.
writing, it's like if it feels incongruent with my body, it's like, okay, well, this is not what I should be writing.
Mm-hmm.
This is not what I should be trying to breathe and manifest and breathe into karma. And you can start to really feel it. Now, same thing. There's a lot of ways you can do this. You can test and do all. There's power versus force and all. Like there's books like that you can do. You can also go insane, okay,
Yeah.
by doing this stuff. So do not become the person who's like, I need to test if I have to go to the grocery store today. It's like if you don't have food in your fridge, go to the grocery store.
It is a thing I've seen with pendulums. People will test everything. Like, can I eat this? Can I drink this? And I get it maybe is helpful for orientation, but maybe at some point learning how to know it in your own body is helpful.
Like I think it'd be great. I think at some point we should
Mm.
have my wife on
Okay,
as a guest,
that'd be fun.
because she can go through all the weird shit that I've done in my life. Because when you when you're on this path, you do some weird. You kind of are out there, and she would go through it all. Like there's this and this and this and this and this, and then you guys can learn from our mistakes, because that's also part of it too. Where you're like, oh, I listened to this episode and. Liam's wife talked about how he used to walk in absolute slow mo everywhere. And he wasn't trying to be a mime. He wasn't practicing to be a mime. He just wanted to feel like, just wanted to feel like slower. And she would film me and be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And then show me and be like, what are you doing? Like, and then I have all the stuff that like I used like so there's this book called Anastasia, great book by the way, but it's written by this guy named Victor Megri. But um they have like a store you can go buy stuff at. So I bought this like big wooden thing. Okay, like it's like a piece of wood. It's this thick and like it's a circle, and it's not like the Anastasia lives in the Russian taiga, which is like a forest, and she's up. There's these things called the ringing cedars of Russia, which are like really, really, really high vibrational things. Okay, so it's like this ancient tree, but you wear it around your you wear it around your neck, and it's supposed to like help you. I had so many I had so many necklaces and just stuff that I would but what happens what I find with this what I find with the spirituality thing is that you do all this stuff and then you let it go.
Yeah.
The biggest key is that you'll get to a point where you're like, I don't need to put this necklace on anymore. The where you become trapped is where you feel like you need to put all the necklaces on and put the face cream on and carry 9 different crystals around with you and wear a hat a certain way, and you can only go out when it's 22 degrees out because 22 is a really good number. It's a master number, and you have to be outside when it's only 22. If it's 21, no. If it's 24, no. 23, no. 22. That's it. And so forth and so on. Like you can kind of go the opposite way.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that it's okay to kind of be experimenting with this. You just have to realize at some point you got to put it all down
Well, that gets
and move
back
on.
to the goal of like what's the point? Like why are you doing this? And we had talked about this, I think, in one of the episodes about for me the goal has always been freedom. I want to be free of the
Well,
conditioning.
I also think the
Mm.
other one too is like what is possible.
Yeah.
Those are the two that you
Yes.
have. It's
Yeah.
like, what is possible? Like what's the potential?
Yeah.
Like what is everybody's potential? And I want the freedom.
Yeah. But for me, the ability to access the potential doesn't happen unless we're free. So it starts from freedom. And so anything that feels like it's an unfree situation. So I can't go outside unless it's 22, or I will only eat these foods, or I can only do this. Like those are limitations that we're putting on ourselves. And I don't want any limitations. So it's helpful for me at least to remind myself of that if I start to feel trapped in a mindset, because it's very easy to become trapped in mindsets. You can free yourself of one mindset and very easily, like we were talking about how nature abhors a vacuum, right? Like you can free yourself of one mindset and then another one's like, oh great, there's a void, we'll take it and put this other program in there instead, and then you just paint over. It's like the painting coats again. It's just another coat of paint and another coat of paint. It's challenging.
There's a great scene in The Aviator that explains this so
Okay.
well.
Okay.
So, The Aviator is about Howard Hughes, and Howard Hughes had like really bad OCD and was a really bad hypochondriac. And so for dinner, he would only order like a specific number of peas and steak. But if any of the peas was touching the steak, he would send it back. And so there's this scene where he like gets the food and he's like, no, no, send it back. He's with people. And you have to understand Howard Hughes is like one of the most successful entrepreneurs in America ever in history. And this guy couldn't have one pea touching the steak. Now, people would say, oh, well, he had a medical condition. Okay. But I'm giving you a hyperbole example because people do this.
Yeah.
People get to the point where they're like, I can't start my day unless I meditate for an hour. And I can't go to sleep unless I meditate for an hour. Okay. Well, you're up for maybe 15 to 20 hours a day, depending on how like insane you are. So let's just say you're up for 20 hours a day. You only sleep for 4 hours a day. That means that you have to take 10% of your total time, waking hours, to meditate. That's a lot. You know, it's not that bad if you're single, but imagine you've got like a wife and kids and a job. Like that's a lot. But like that's how people can kind of get so into this stuff.
Mm.
And the point is that it's not actually about the things you're doing, it's about where you're going. It's like, is this getting me to where is this progressing me on the path of getting a deeper and deeper insight into myself? If it is, then great. But the minute you feel like you shouldn't do it anymore, you should put it down.
Yeah.
You have to be able to put it down, and if you can't, well, then it's a crutch. And that's, that's kind of that. And it can happen very, very, very subtly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It can happen very, very subtly. But yeah, there's one other thing I wanted to ask you. Now, you don't have to this is probably a little bit more personal. So you don't have to, if you're like, I don't want to do that, that's fine.
Okay.
So there was when we were talking about Good Will Hunting and we were talking about that scene where like Minnie Driver tells Matt that he loves her and Matt was like, oh, you just wanted to go slumming for a little bit and you find out, whatever. Right. And you were telling me that you had actually kind of done that. You'd done what Matt Damon had done to Minnie Driver. You don't have to go into the whole thing, But I just was wondering, like when we were talking about that, because we didn't like, I kind of just glanced over it and was like, all right, we're not going to talk about this right now. I was just wondering, like, when, like for me, like uh, when I look back on my life, right? Because I've changed a lot. You know, you look back and you kind of like, ooh, I should have like maybe done that differently or maybe done this differently. Like, how do you reconcile that for yourself?
Mm. It feels like it depends on what it is. Some of the things feel relatively easy from uh, I find it easy to forgive myself when I can see the conditioning that's underlying the behavioral pattern. So if I can look at it and say, okay, you behaved in this way for all of these reasons, and in a way, you just couldn't do any differently in that time, in that space. Like that's what you were conditioned to do. It was like somebody flipped a switch, the light came on. This is just what happens. It's it's relatively easy to forgive myself and other people actually from with that framework. Um, because while I can sit here and say we all have a choice, we do, and oftentimes we're not aware that we have a choice at all. We're not even aware that we're behaving in a space of not having a choice. And so, what are you going to do there? Just berate yourself over and over again? It's useless. So, that I find very useful. For the times when I'm unable to find the behavioral pattern or where it's really deep seated, those are a lot more challenging. And those tend to, for me, require more than just a logical understanding. Because what I just described is really logical. And that really does work for me for a lot of things, but it doesn't catch everything. But if there's some deep emotional component, that's where the crying tends to be really helpful for me. So I will pair that with something that makes me really, really sad so that I will cry it out. So if I can't connect with the emotion in the moment with whatever it is that I'm working through, I'll watch something or read something or listen to something, whatever, that will make me cry. And then I'll attach those tears to whatever's happening. And then I can find the emotion and pull it out. That's usually what I do. What do you do?
That's fair. You know, I think what I do is I'm kind of new at it,
Mm.
honestly. Right? I think doing these steps has been really helpful for me when I'm doing it. Like I've kind of, you know, like I've written letters to people that I've like hurt and whatnot, and then burned them.
Mhm.
Because some people like there's like people where I'm like I'm never gonna get a hold of you ever again.
Yeah.
But like if I ever saw them and you know, kind of like that thing I talked about with my uncle, where it's like he knew exactly what I had done when I was apologizing for it, right? It's amazing that when you try to repair, it's crazy how people are like, yeah, I remember that. So I try to repair wherever I can. Um, I try to do it a lot quicker now than I did before. Like today, I made some stupid joke to my father-in-law, and I was like, "This was stupid." So I like went up to him, I'm like, "I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have said that." And he's like, "Oh, you don't have to worry about it." I'm like, "I'm not. It's not about you, dude. Like, I did it. I felt incongruent with it, so I'm
Mhm.
apologizing." Um, and so for me, like, you know, I definitely, I think repairs one of the, the, the things I do, and catching it quickly. I think
Mhm.
that's one thing, because I think that we can get trapped in just a kind of algorithmic relationship with somebody where it's like this is the role we play with this person, and you're both just kind of playing that role, even if it's super dysfunctional.
Mhm.
The dysfunction's actually a key part of the relationship, and um, if you can identify the dysfunction, then you can actually identify the problem, and then you can actually start to unentangle yourself from that dysfunction. But but you got to be able to identify the dysfunction.
Yeah.
And back to what we talked about being in proprioception, right? If you don't feel anything in your body, it's pretty easy to walk around and just just exist and
Mhm.
say mean things and just kind of like even better justify it. Oh, they deserved it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a key indicator that something's not right when you start having to justify to yourself your behavior.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
anytime
When
you're
you justify,
defending something, something's going on
yeah,
there. Yeah.
yeah, agreed. It's like the justification. Um, I think a great, I think there's a really great scene in Oppenheimer with this. So, um, Oppenheimer's there, and I would say his best friend, the guy that um, he had like the most reverence for. Hold on, I just want to just make sure I have the right guy here. Do do
While you
do.
get that, I'm going to turn on the light. It's quite dark in here now.
Yeah, please do that.
Okay.
Uh, so the guy's name is Isidore Robbie, and so they're building Los Alamos, and Isidore Robbie comes out, and Oppenheimer and him are talking in um, a shed, and Oppenheimer asks Robbie, he's like, okay, so like you're gonna come out here and we're gonna like work together and it's gonna be great. And like Isidore Robbie's like a really, really good physicist. He's like really he ended up being on the Atomic Energy Council and he was great. He was a really respected scientist for a long time after too. And he looks at Oppenheimer and says, he's like, I'm not coming out here. And Oppenheimer's like, what do you mean you're not coming out here? He's like, I don't want the crowning achievement of quantum physics and quantum mechanics to be a weapon of mass destruction. And Oppenheimer's like, and they both kind of like get emotional. And Oppenheimer's like, well, we don't really have a choice. It's like, I know what the Nazis would do with it if they get it. So we kind of got to fight it. But I kind of tend to, it's like it's one of those things where it's like when you got to justify, you're probably like,
Mm-hmm.
And best thing is that Oppenheimer after in that movie goes to Truman and is like he's this like shell of himself and is like, I feel like I got blood on my hands. And Truman's just like takes out a handkerchief and is like, here you go. He's like, I'm the one that dropped the bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. I'm the one that's got to live with it. And then he's like, he leaves and he's like, don't let that sissy back in here.
Oh.
And that's what he says. And so the point being is that that's kind of a nice juxtaposition of those two scenes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oppenheimer 2 years before that was like, we got to do it. Fast forward after he does it, he's like, fuck, I shouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you. When you justify anything, it's like when you justify your bad behavior because somebody else's bad
Yeah.
behavior, you're
Yep.
both in the wrong. But at the end of the day, you're part of it. You
Yep.
played a part.
Yep.
You played a part. So I think for me, I'm still trying to figure it out. But I'm definitely doing like an internal scan every time that anything happens, and I'm like, okay, well, like, did I want to do that? Did I want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
No. Okay, well then I'm gonna correct course. If I hurt someone's feelings or I feel like I hurt someone's feelings, I apologize. And then kind of go from there.
Mm-hmm.
That's at least what I do. That sounds like kind of simpleton, but it seems to work for me. I think the biggest key is it's like I'm trying not to make any new entanglements in my life, like dysfunctional and like
Mm-hmm.
entanglements. Period. I don't think you want to be entangled with anybody. You want
Yeah.
to be kind of your own free floating spirit. You don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be like wrapped up in somebody else's life
Mm-hmm.
or being.
Yeah. And so,
You want every relationship to have that. You want every relationship that you have to be a relationship that both people want to be in.
yeah.
So I think that's kind of what I do. Yours sounds more less just kind of like off the cuff, more like scientific, but you're a scientist, so I'll just say that.
Well, that's where you were asking about past things, present
Yeah.
things. Yeah, of course, it's as quickly as possible, apologizing, acknowledging, and apologizing. But there's a lot of things from the past that the people aren't around anymore to apologize to. So,
That I
right.
agree with. Yeah, no, for sure. Right. I think that's um, I also, I think the shamanism stuff helps me too
Mm,
because I can go and ask questions and I can get healing and, um, you can get a lot of answers that way. So if you got a good practitioner, it's a good one to do. You can take a course too. Like if you go on the Foundation for Shamanic Studies, you can take it a beginner course. They're not that much money. They're like a couple $100 for a weekend, and it's 16 hours worth of stuff, and it's quite good. Um, but I'm still trying to figure it out. I think with the past stuff, it can be difficult. The past stuff's difficult. I find, um, just because it's like this is the life I've had,
yeah.
and so it can be difficult to reconcile because you're like that feels so long ago, and it feels like it was a different person that I don't feel like I even can identify with that
Mm,
person anymore because I've changed so much, which is why I bring it up because it's a very difficult thing to do.
mhm.
It's a very difficult thing. I'll let you know after I do my step 4. How's that
Yes,
sound?
please.
after, After I do my step 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, then we can talk because that's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm doing. But yeah, I think that's the I think it's a good thing to kind of flag because you know I like look. I'm not saying that I think this 12 steps are great. And the reason why I think they're great is because they're such a spiritually guided thing.
Mhm.
And you can like this is what my sponsor told me, which is great. You can replace alcohol with anything.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't like everybody's like, "Oh, well, the 12 steps is only for uh alcoholics or people who are affected by alcohol or whatever it is." No, bullshit. Like my sponsor told me a really great story, which was there was this guy, he was in jail. When I say great, when I say guy in jail, it doesn't really sound all that great, but there's a payoff. There's a payoff. Um, so this other guy in jail, who's been in jail for a bit, goes up to this guy and is like, "Hey, like, why don't you come to this AA meeting with me?" He's like, I'm not an addict. Why would I go to that?" He's like, "Well, look, just just go with it, and instead, every time you hear alcohol, replace that with anger."
Mm,
And the guy had this profound shift because he's like, "Holy shit! Like, I'm like anger's a problem for me, and I
mhm.
feel like it's and so you can do the same thing that guy said with anything. You can if you look at what step 1 is, like step 1 is a very simple step, which is uh, we are powerless over the problem of alcoholism. Well, you can say I'm powerless over the problem of a divorce,
Mhm.
or I'm powerless over the problem of anger, or I'm powerless over the problem of infidelity, or whatever you want to, whatever problem you are struggling with, and you can go through the 12 steps um, that way. And I'll tell you this, like I think like step 2 and 3 are really important, right? You get a higher power. When you get a higher power, it's really important. I know we talked about it in a past
Mhm.
podcast, but it's just, you know, I don't want to turn people off to the 12 steps just because they get conflated as just being about
Mhm.
alcoholism or any kind of form of addiction. You can use it in many different respects.
Mhm.
Um, you can say, I've been powerless. I'm powerless over, over like my control issue. Like there's a lot of people who like love to control things. And it's like, that could be something that you can work on with
Mhm.
these 12 steps. And plus, when you gain a higher power, you gain some faith. It makes your life a little easier because then you stop worrying about the things that you can't control and you accept what's going to happen. Um, but yeah, I think that that's the thing that I I just wanted to kind of flag it for people because it's it's a really great uh, set of spiritual tenets, and it's very interactive in nature because you have to do them. It's experiential in
Yeah.
nature. Sorry, it's experiential in nature. You have to do them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really well said. And the idea that you can be addicted to anything. I mean, you can be addicted to a thought pattern, which is kind of what you were saying, but I'm just reframing it as like an addiction. And you can be addicted to seeing yourself a certain way, to talking to people in a certain way, to behaving in a certain way. Like all of that, in some ways, those habits can be reframed as addictions.
Well, and I even think you shift the word addiction. Step one doesn't talk about addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Step one talks about being powerless over something.
Mm-hmm.
So you become powerless over something, and like you could say, I am powerless over my ability to change my boss. Okay, well, you can go through all 12
Yeah.
steps if you want. You can start with anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? Really, the how I see step one is that you admit that you don't have control.
Mm. Except in that example, you kind of do. But yeah, I do see what you mean.
Over changing your boss?
Yeah.
Like your boss's behaviors?
Well, no, you do have control over being in that situation.
No, you do. That I agree with, right? You could quit your job, okay? You could quit your job. Don't disagree. But let's just say your boss drives you nuts. You're like, I've committed to not quitting because I like other
Oh,
aspects of it. But this
okay.
guy drives me
I
insane,
see.
or this
Yeah.
girl drives me insane.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be like, hey, you know what? I don't have any control over this man, really, or man or woman.
Mm-hmm.
The point that I say is step one's all about control
Mm-hmm.
because people try so hard to fit their little lives into a little nice little pretty bow, and they lose their mind when things don't go the way they thought they were going to
Mm-hmm.
go, and they're trying so hard to kind of control everything when in reality, like, we are powerless over pretty much a good chunk of our lives. And it goes back to that serenity prayer thing. It's like, God, uh, grant me the wisdom to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I think that's not right. Hold on. I want to make sure it's right. Sorry, God, give me the grace to accept the serenity. No, God grant me the serenity God grant me the serenity. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I might have said it twice. I apologize. Might not actually have changed at all what I just said. The point that I'm trying to make is that is the point. The point is that you need the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the courage to change the things I can. But the third one is the most important, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
There is a big difference between what is in my hula hoop and what is outside my hula hoop. And there are a lot of things in which people take into their lives that is not in their hula hoop. Do you want to know why most people change? This is my opinion on it. It's because they care way more about worrying about other people's lives, because then they don't have to do anything for themselves. If you just walk around all day, every day, judging everybody else, especially judging people for what you do that's not great, you don't have to ever change. You're like, can you believe that Sarah, doesn't wash her hands like the minute she comes into the house? It's a stupid example, but maybe you don't wash your hands every time you come into the house. It's really easy to judge everybody else.
Mm-hmm. I have nothing to add. That was really well said.
I was really hoping you're going to do this. I'm serious now. You just look afraid. That's the best part. Your eyes are like this.
I don't know how to be serious. Okay, hold on. It's hard to relax my eyes and keep my mouth smiling. It's actually really hard to do that. Like smile and then
It's
keep
like,
your eyes relaxed. It's like really hard to like, because when you're, see, like, because it naturally does this. So I have to like,
well, you just
there, smile and then
Uh, okay, so there's a really great scene. There's a great scene in Entourage.
Mm.
There's such a great scene where so Johnny Drama's on this show with Ed Burns, and Ed Burns is directing it, and he's like, okay, Johnny, like, be happy. He's like, okay, great. Now be sad. He's like, okay, be confused. He's like, okay, be embarrassed. And he's kind of like, and he's like, no, like, be embarrassed. And he can't do it. And in a previous scene, like, they had heard him masturbating because he like forgot to take off his mic.
What?
And so cause he was like in his like his little like trailer or whatever it is. Like he was alone. Like he was alone, right? But he was like really nervous or whatever it was. And so Ed Burns comes up to him and he's like, Drama, we all heard you masturbating in your trailer before this. And then he like gets the face of being embarrassed. He's like, cut, we got it. Good. So then Drama doesn't actually know if they did or didn't. You look at it like that's really mean.
Yes.
Obviously it's really mean. It's very mean, but it's a comedy. So it's kind of funny. The only reason I'm doing that is because we were doing these little things. Anyways, didn't land. You didn't think it's funny.
Well, because it's mean.
Sure, it's mean. I understand that. I'm just saying that, like, now you made me feel bad. Or no, I'm not. You didn't make me do anything. I'm choosing to feel bad now.
I'm going to practice this and I'm going to be so good. Oh, maybe if I do it like shudders instead, like. Wait. I'm slightly behind my hands. I can't get it right. Okay, hold on. So.
I think the best part is we've done this for like 5 minutes now. And the best part is that on Spotify, if there's no video, they're gonna be like, what am I fucking listening to? These two, like, the only context anybody's gonna have is if it's on YouTube. But if they don't have the video, they're gonna have no idea what this is.
True. Then I'm very sorry that you're not seeing.
I'm not sorry at all. I'm having so much fun doing it. I'm having so much fun. I was just wondering, like, I've kind of asked a lot of questions. Is there anything that you've wanted to like talk about? If you come into this thing, you're a creative person. Is there anything you want to talk about? Is there anything that's been on your mind that you're like, hey, we should talk about this?
There was, but I don't remember it now.
Brutal.
Yeah. There were a couple of things actually. I'll remember them for next time.
That's fine. All right, guys. I think that's good. We'll end with the weird pantomime shit.
I'm going to get so good at this, though. I'm going to practice it in front of a mirror. And the next time I'm going to be like a pro.
Are you going to be a pro pantomime?
Yeah, you're going to be like, what even? I'm going to be like hireable as a pantomime.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
When you're moving to LA, so you never know. Maybe you'll be the female version of Charlie Chaplin.
Could be.
You'll be amazing. You'll be amazing. You'll just
I'll be the
like,
best.
You'll be the absolute best.
Yes.
You'll dress up like him too. You'll have the little suit. You'll have the little hat. You'll have the cane.
I wish all my things were in storage. I totally would dress in a collared shirt and a suit next time. Maybe I can find one.
That's great. Oh, that's great. Please do.
A little mustache.
That'd be awesome. Well, I don't know. That's like kind of those mustaches are kind of aggressive.
Oh yeah, didn't he have like a little, just that one?
He had like the little Hitler.
Yeah, that's what I was
kinda.
thinking. I don't want that.
Like he had the little like Nazi Hitler mustache, but like
But before,
he was around before.
Yeah,
he was around before Hitler, so he's but still.
Yeah, okay, no mustache. I'll do the rest though.
No. Oh yeah, that's fine. Just don't show up in like white face paint.
With the little lines that go like here and here.
Yes. Or like you draw on like a teardrop.
Yes, exactly.
You have like the really red, like
Exactly.
red thing. That makes it's so stupid. It's so stupid. Oh my God. It's so funny though. Oh man. All right. Okay. We're done. This episode's over. I really appreciate all of you listening,
Yes,
but
thank
we're gonna
you.
go laugh. We're gonna go laugh offline. So thanks everybody. You guys have a great time.
Bye.
Bye.